and welcome to another Ask Your Mentor Anything session, but this time we have the Mindset Edition. For those that you just visit us for the first time, is actually a new initiative we started with Luna. Hello, Luna, how are you?
Hi everyone.
I just would like to say a few words about this initiative until people will join us. So this is about mindsets. So we decided that Luna is also a graduate of my 3-month signature program. We work on my annual alumni program again as a member, and we came up with the idea to actually add some specific mindset sessions. My main approach to mindset, Luna, you know that better than myself. When I work with my mentees, we work usually on business-related issues, and I try to tackle any mindset issues that I see that might exist through the business aspect. So definitely, when we have a strategy session or a coaching session, we can indirectly, by discussing those topics, actually address mindset issues as well. But additionally to this initiative, we decided to go live with you once per month with Luna, and this is our actually third live with Luna, to actually tackle and discuss with you in an informal case study scenario, mindset issues that we have seen and you have sent to us that you would like to discuss about. And of course, if you have more topics related to mindset issues that you would like to add to those series, definitely use either the form you will find in the description box of this live, or actually comment below, or you can reach us out directly, Luna or myself, through social media or via email. So definitely, fill in the form with any topics that you would like to cover regarding mindset. But usually we go live on business-related or productivity-related topics, usually sometimes with tech-related topics, and this one will be devoted only on mindset. So thank you for joining us live. Let us know in the comments, where are you watching us from? And definitely, what's your relationship, we can say, with gratitude, and how and if you have, of course, integrated in your everyday schedule and so on. So Luna, if you would like to introduce yourself shortly for those that they might watch us for the first time, and actually, why did you choose this topic shortly?
Sure. So I'm Luna Jungblut. For those who don't know me, I'm an English and Spanish to French translator specialized in the art world. So I mostly do marketing text for museums, and similar to this, I'm also an interpreter and a subtitler. So I'd like to welcome you to this third edition of the Mindset Sessions. And I picked this topic because maybe some of you already saw me talk about the topic of gratitude and journaling in the past few years. But my relationship to gratitude has also evolved in this time and has also changed. And for me, I think that basically seeing the positive in things actually makes us go forward and get unstuck. But I'd like to stray away from this idea of the toxic positivity sometimes we hear. I think gratitude is great because during a day we have 80% of negative thoughts. So gratitude, 80%. So wow. Gratitude isn't just something to toot our own horn and be egocentrical or something like this. It's not something that's egoistic. It's not something that we say, oh, everything is great in the best of worlds. It's something that actually rewires our brains to be more in tune with our abilities, to see ourselves better, and I think in a more neutral light. So basically, we're balancing the negativity of our thoughts and with some more positive things, and we achieve, I think, through this a sort of neutral point of view where we can assess our lives, what's working, what's not working, with a much more neutral point of view. So that's why I picked this topic, but we'll touch upon a lot of different things today.
Okay, so we have specific things to cover today, and especially if you have any questions about our today's topic, use the comments below and definitely introduce yourself. I would really love to see who is watching us live. So definitely use the comments, introduce yourselves, and if you have any questions, and I always love to know, where are you watching us from? Where are you based? So use the comments below. So I didn't know that we have 80% negative thoughts, and definitely I would consider that each of us would have a different, if we can say, percentage of that, because there are more positive people and more negative people. Yeah. All of us know that. But that's an interesting finding that you just shared with us. The interesting, actually, behind of this topic, invite or welcome or graduate that we discussed, is actually the fact that you're using it to get unstuck with your business.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to discuss and share with you tips on how to integrate gratitude, welcome gratitude to your everyday life, so as to get unstuck also when it comes to business related issues. So definitely mindset for me, and if you've been watching me live or my recordings for quite some time right now, like I've been repeating myself, like mindset for me, it's more than 80% of our success, any kind of success, and any how like we define success. Each of us is differently, but definitely what, in my opinion, based on my readings and what I've studied already, what separates people that they're successful in their industry, their profession, so on, with those that they're feeling stuck or demotivated, or actually they don't see any progress in their business, is actually the fact. Hello, Ileana. Use the StreamYard link to include your name, so as your name also to be visible in the comments. Click on the StreamYard link that you will find in the description box. So what separates those that they actually are successful in what they're doing from those that they're feeling stuck and demotivated or a bit behind with their progress in their business? For me, it's mindset. And I've seen that already. Like, I think this September, I'm going to run this program, my 3-month coaching program, like 7th or 8th time, the 8th time. So, and I'm really happy to share with you some statistics on my experience on that. So more than 50 people have already graduated through my 3-month program, more than 2,000 people through all of my conference speaking and courses, trainings, class coaching. So definitely I can share with you some insights on that. But I have seen that those that they are falling behind are those that they have mindset issues. And again, I prefer to tackle with them in a practical way through business-related issues and sessions rather than actual mindset. But I've seen that also some mindset targeted sessions would also work. And we have the time actually to share some more practical tips on how to integrate those things like meditation or gratitude and things that we share during our mentoring, actually mindset sessions. So as for you to have it clear in your mind and definitely discuss. So Ileana, let us know in the comments. I know that you're watching us from Italy, I suppose, Monaco, or where are you right now? So how have you been inviting in your life and welcoming in your life gratitude? And I know, because also Ileana is a graduate of my programs and so 2 of them. So definitely I know that you've been reading a lot, books related to this topic. So I would really love to know practically how you integrate gratitude in your everyday life and how you have done so. And let's start with the first thing. Focusing on the positive has the power to move us forward, to get us unstuck in our life and business, as you mentioned, Luna. So how does gratitude, relates to this specifically, like focusing on the positive and actually let us moving forward and getting unstuck? How gratitude and positivity, they are connected, if we can say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, gratitude, it's a way to realize many things in our lives that are actually okay. Because as I mentioned before, we tend to sometimes focus on the negative aspects just because this is the problems that we have to sort out. So it's natural that we spend more time thinking about it. But sometimes we lose touch with the things that we've achieved, with our successes, with beautiful things that happen to us every day. And even for probably even in your worst day of your life, there will be some positive aspects to it. So one of the easiest way to start noticing those things is for me to start journaling about it. So this is something I also spoke about in my ebook. I made an ebook about an introduction to self-care, and I outlined some of these journaling techniques.
Yeah, definitely you can find this ebook. We have a link to share if you would like to download it for free, or you can actually contact Luna directly. I'm going to share it in the comments, but definitely you can get in touch with us to get it for free. It's so generous of yours, Luna, to sharing this with us. So thank you.
It's really for everyone. It's for everyone who is, thinks that maybe this subject is a little bit woo-woo, or a little bit strange, or too spiritual or something like that. I think it's a good introduction to very practical tips and practical techniques for everyone.
Now you mentioned something like I had in mind to share. So that since you already mentioned that, that's a great opportunity. You mentioned for some people, they find it too spiritual. And you give me such a great opportunity to discuss about, like some years ago, not long enough ago, at least in the European market, I don't know if the US that was different, mindset topics and discussions were more or less for those that they are towards more open to mindfulness or optimistic people. So it was like a taboo topic.
Or into yoga or into meditation, whereas now it's very separate.
Exactly. And definitely those people that are very practical or business-related mindsets, they weren't open to discuss only mindset-related issues or to actually read books for only mindset topics or mindset topics. And definitely they wouldn't connect it with business success. It is really recent in the European market that we actually have been discussing that people that are successful, they have a great mindset. And it took us a lot of, many years at least here, to realize that. I suppose it started from the US. And
yeah, I think so. But also, I think the world around us, now we're getting, there's more and more information, more and more stimuli, basically. And now I think we're realizing as, that's why it's getting popularity. I think this topic is that we realize that we also have to, the brain is also like a muscle, and we also have to exercise it in a way that it supports us, especially if we have a freelance business. So feeding it with things that are making it more resilient, such as gratitude and the different techniques we'll talk about today, is actually a form of building resiliency, and is definitely a tool that we all should use. Otherwise, we tend to, sink into maybe more negative thought patterns, I think.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity to discuss it, because nowadays we discuss about mindset so openly and like we have it as a taken, but we shouldn't neglect the fact that some previous years people, they didn't discuss about mindset. Definitely they didn't connect it to practical business skills and results. So about journaling, you mentioned already some ways to feel more positive or to actually welcome more positivity in our everyday life, and we actually described how gratitude is connected with positivity, because we are grateful. We feel grateful for our success or positive things that they happen to our life. So let's start with journaling routines that you mentioned here, different journaling routines. Actually, you will find in the ebook that I just said in the comments, but since we are here, let's discuss it live.
Feel free to download the ebook, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. My journaling techniques personally are, it's like an ebbing and flowing thing. Sometimes I journal a lot, sometimes I don't. So you need to only take whatever works for you. And if something doesn't work for you, just let it go. You'll pick it up in a few months. Like, I think it's very important to not, so that it doesn't become something else on your to-do list, or something of a more of a, big thing to do on top of everything you already have to do. So there are different techniques. The most well-known ones, of course, you can just make up your own. Like every evening, for example, you sit down and you do like a brain dump, or you just let the pen go and flow, and you just try to not add any sort of criticism, or just let it go. This is already quite good for your thoughts to empty. And the activity of writing actually slows down your thoughts process. And this makes you have much more clarity on the thoughts that might be repeated through your head throughout the day. There's also other techniques, such as, for example, for gratitude journaling, you can write, for example, in the morning, 3 things you're grateful about, something you're like looking forward to doing during the day. Maybe write a small to-do list of the day, and then on the evening you can tick it off, which also adds satisfaction to your brain, which releases serotonin and all those yummy feel-good hormones.
So most common question, what if, and this is also, I think, a great obstacle, if we can describe it such a way that people, they struggle to integrate gratitude and journaling in their everyday life. What if I won't be able to complete those tasks in the day, and then instead of feeling grateful at the end of the day, I feel like more anxious and more behind with my progress and so on. This is very common. I see also in the goal setting. I don't remember if you have mentioned that as well when we were doing goal setting, but it's very common what they tell me. Yes, I have those goals, but I'm afraid that if I write them down and I have not completed them by the timing that I have set, the smart goals. If you don't know smart goals, then Google them or visit the smart goals video I have on my YouTube channel. So the main, if we can say, difficulty they find is actually to commit themselves to implement complete successfully what they write about, so as to feel grateful at the end. And this is also a reason why that holds them back from actually implementing such methods like journaling, goal settings. And I was one of those people. I can at least confess right now, I used to be, and I used actually to avoid numbers, because especially with numbers, timing, whatever is the numbers about kilos, or numbers about annual revenue, or whatever it is, I used to do neglect or avoid them, because I was afraid that if I won't succeed to actually meet those numbers, I will feel less successful or unsuccessful.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Advice, something you would like to share, and of course I can share my insights as well.
Well, I mean, for that, you mentioned that for you, if numbers at the beginning didn't work, then you would write them in a different way. You need to also see what works for you and what doesn't, and it's trial and error. But what I would say for anyone who wants to implement like a journaling technique, if you can't do it every day, you set yourself like to do it like every 2 days. You start the slowest you can. You start very, very little. By just mentioning something you're grateful about, and it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can just be like, I'm very grateful because I had delicious breakfast, or because my family, or I'm grateful because the sky is blue today, or something small. But if you commit to doing it every day, let's say, or even every 2 days, if that's the most you can do, this is absolutely also working in rewiring your brain. So that's absolutely fine too.
Yeah, I can share some tips here as well, since I've been there. So while it's really used to work with me, and I didn't do it like intentionally. Previously, of course, nowadays I realize that this is a part of journaling, or actually attracting more positivity in our life through gratitude and so on. So I used to, every time the first thought, actually in wording, telling to myself, was actually the things that I was really feeling grateful for. And those might have been simple things like, I have a house, I have a car, or I have created the business I always wanted to do so, or things that actually were really practical, very simple things that actually made me, give me a feeling of satisfaction. And that might be anything, like the love of your dog. You have a dog and you receive so much love of that dog, or you have a great relationship as someone to support you, or the fact that you have a family and the love of your family. That might be simple things, but what really works is actually the feelings of those to you, to warm your heart. And that's really helped me a lot to progress, especially to leave behind the bad thoughts, and also to leave behind a dark period in my life. That really helped me every day. The first thought before I leave my bed, the moment that I opened my eyes, was actually to have some thoughts of the things that they really help make me feel warm and loved and calm, and those feelings. Yes, so that's to continue the rest of the day. Maybe some part of that feeling, and imagine that's so different for each of us. It doesn't have to be the house of $1 million, okay? But if you have a great apartment, that's the decoration, something that you always love to have, and you have done that, it's always worth it mentioning to yourself, okay, that you've done that, or whatever. Something really small. Doesn't have to be like the fact that you organized, for example, your house, or something that really brings you satisfaction. And,
absolutely.
You have it right now in your life, not something that has passed, or not something that you're expecting, but something like waking up, you already have it in your life. From actual things to actual feelings of people that you have in your life. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I also think it makes it more practical if you do it either just before you go to bed. I mean, or when you're already in bed, just before you go to sleep, or when you wake up. So you leave that little notebook by your bed with a pen, and that's the first thing you write. So it's very simple. It makes it really easy, because this is just the transition phase between you're sleeping and then you're getting up. So I think this is also quite helpful to do.
So one tip was that, and I do it like not writing, okay, just self-talking in the morning and in the night when you have bad thinking, bad thoughts, for example. Because life, okay, we need to be honest, it's not always easy. We have periods of time that we struggle in our life. Definitely helps a lot to actually, at least it helped me a lot, and I would like to share with other people. It might help other people as well. When I fell asleep, I used to actually make good thoughts of the upcoming days or years or something that I would really wait for to come to me, and that will also would be what I was going to dream about, so as to fall asleep easier. But in the morning, I used to feel grateful and to say, I'm not that religious, but that was I used to say when I was waking up, thank God for having that already in my life. Simplest things that, okay, we shouldn't take for granted, like having a house, having a car, having health in your life, your family members are healthy, and so on. And the other thing that really helps is actually having it clear in your mind, like focusing at simple things, do not making that big. So if you're afraid to write numbers, try with something that you think that you can have it done by the end of the day. Or if you are afraid of using numbers, you will remember me that the time that you will start using numbers. This will change your life. At least that happened for me. You will be able to tackle the reality, even if that reality is bad. But if you know the reality, you're able to change it. Because if you're hiding the reality, then you're unable to change it. And even if you're afraid, I would suggest you to use numbers, but still I would start small. Try to write down 3 things to implement by the end of the day or by the end of the week. Be good at yourself, like don't make it that strict. And definitely, from the moment you write that down, make sure to tell yourself in a positive way, it's okay if you don't complete them that day. You have the next day, you have the next week. So it's okay, but put a deadline, because if you actually reach the deadline, you will feel so successful and grateful for that. If not, okay, you can extend the deadline, but definitely we need to start from somewhere. So let's continue with the next one, which is more or less connected. Unless, is there anything else you would like to add about journaling?
About the journaling techniques, no, I think that was it. There are so many different techniques online. You can get inspired by everything, but like we said, start small. If you feel like this is something on top of everything you have to do, just start small, and it will definitely reach benefits. And I think that through the journaling, then you derive, then you end up at all the other things that we have planned to talk about today. I think it's like it sets the basis of the rest. And like you were saying, like it sits down all your thoughts, so you can start focusing on more positive things if you've never done any work such as this before.
And definitely about journaling, something I really would like to give as an advice. That's what I do, at least. I don't really like writing journaling every day or every night, but I do have a notebook next to my bed, as you mentioned, or in my office. Whenever I have a clear mind, I've mentioned that before, I prefer to have 1 day or 2 days in the year, during the year, that I feel inspired, and I like to write all of my vision or goals there. So at once I write 20 things I would love to implement by the next 5-10 years, or the end of this year included. And then I go back and I have it in the notebook next to myself. So I go back and read it. So even if I don't write those things every night, when I feel disencouraged or I need some motivation, I go there and I read my goals. And what's really helped me is actually to see those that I have taken off from the list, because I have actually completed them. It's so satisfying, this feeling. And definitely I suggest you to do so. So even if you don't like the daily one, which actually there are practical steps in Luna's ebook, definitely download it so as to check them out. So we're going to share in the group as well the link. Do it once or twice per year whenever you feel inspired. Write all of those things that you would love to implement in your life. Then unstructure them into long-term and short-term goals, and have those annual goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals, and read them because you feel motivated. That was something I would love to do. Or this, I've actually implemented that, and you get that feeling of gratitude and
for sure
satisfaction.
Yeah, I think that when you said that, it really inspired me to start doing the same. So because I used to think that to set business goals or things like this, I should be at my desk, I should be in working mode, and then I realized no, actually it's much better to have like a very calm time when you can actually start looking at what you really want. Because what tends to happen to me, I tend to take on a lot of conditioning from others around me. So what I tend to be writing about is goals, but that maybe, I feel like I should have, or that others expect me to have, or, you know, things that are basically not mine. And, you know, maybe that explains also why sometimes I can't reach them, or sometimes I reach them because it's something that I really, really want. And I think it's very important, all of this, to really realize what you want and what brings you satisfaction. And it's not going to be the same from someone else.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also the way of motivation. As I told you, you wake up unmotivated one day, go back and read those goals, or why initially you started doing some things, then you will get unstuck, definitely, and feel motivated and grateful and fulfilled if you actually have implemented already some of them. You will be surprised of some goals that you have written 2 or 3 years ago. I go back, and whenever I organize, for example, my office, and I find them in my papers, like, I'm also very surprised with the things that I have written. Some of them I have actually implemented them, and I'm really surprised that I have written some things. So, but intentionally complete some things. So yeah, that's a great advice, and thank you for sharing that with us, Luna. Let's start with the next one, with stop the negative self-talk, which actually you've mentioned that already. You mentioned to focus on positive thoughts and positivity.
Yeah, but also I think self-talk is when we it's not just about negative thoughts, it's about something when we tend to put ourselves down for no reason. For example, if we do something silly and we're like, oh, I'm so, you know, I'm such an idiot, or something like that. And I think we need to stop, you know, putting ourselves down like this, because even if we do it in a way that it looks like it doesn't matter, I think the more we do it, the more we actually tend to believe it. You know, we are what we say, we are what we think. So I think it's just a very small point I wanted to add, just to, you know, give a little nudge of encouragement to the people who are watching us, and like, stop doing that.
It's not that small, because you mentioned it's a bit small. It's not that small. I think a lot of us, we keep to have a very negative self-talk, and we don't realize that.
Exactly, we don't pay attention to it most of the time. So
and
this
you know, when you realize,
daily reminder to pay attention to it when you do it.
I'm also a great example of this. I'm very strict to myself, even stricter than I would be to anyone else. So when what really helped me is actually to realize, would you say the same words, or would you talk the same way to someone else, the way you talk to yourself? So the next time you will maybe catch yourself talking in a negative way or strict, think about twice. Would you use the same wording, the same words to talk to someone else, or someone you would like to help? A friend of yours, ideally. Would you talk to them like that? Then you will start reducing the way that's the bad way talking to yourself. And then you have mentioned here, create an abundance mindset, law of attraction, affirmation. I'm always in a coaching group, and we're creating abundance there. It's always a great advice from my coach as well. That's pretty tough. It's not always easy.
It's not always easy, and it's like everything else, you know, the relationship with that we have with that is always ebbing and flowing, and we just have to accept it. So sometimes it feels like you're attracting everything amazing and it's just, you know, great, and then sometimes you feel like you're more in a negative circle and you start attracting things that are not so good for you, and you feel like, oh no, it's just a negative cycle. But it just goes to show that usually the state of mind that you're in, the mindset that you're in, tends to attract your reality around you. So I had personally like a switch of mindset about money a few years back, because for me, I was sort of like reluctant to part with my money sometimes when I was like paying things, because I felt like I didn't have enough. I was stressed about it. And so I didn't really let it flow. And as soon I was talking to my best friend actually, and she told me like, you know what, money, it ebbs and flows as well. It comes, it goes, but it always comes back, and you have to really relax about that. And I was like, oh, okay. And I started implementing it. And now, like, you know, even if I have to make a large expense that I wasn't prepared for, it wasn't expected, I just tell myself, you know, it will come back to me at some point. And just trying to really just like have more of a relaxed
you know, for the advice that you got for free from your friend, and actually the advice that you are sharing here with the audience, someone would have paid, I don't know, 5 or 6 figures of coaching to actually learn to integrate that and the results of this. Because actually now you remind me myself when I started out and I was paying for the payments of our industry and our profession, which actually the monthly, you know, expenses that we have, the regular ones, just to be freelancers or company owners. And I used to struggle. And now recently I've been making those payments, and I feel so grateful that I'm able to make. And you know what changed my mindset to that? Because I was like you. I realized that the higher amounts that I'm paying, the more successful I am. And usually that stands also for the amount that I have also in my bank account. So now I feel grateful that I'm able to pay such high amounts, because that also stands, okay, for the level of success, at least about my business. Okay, I'm not talking about personal life success here, but definitely about business success. We need to have this money to actually having our business to grow. And definitely the more you invest, okay, the better for your business. That's something I'm 100%. Of course, if you do it strategically and you know where you invest and you don't spend your money around. But definitely, this is a great advice that your friend gave you, that you implement that and you actually show the results.
Yeah, and it didn't really have, I realized that it was more my mindset towards money that was flawed rather than the actual money I had in my bank accounts. It had, like, sometimes we have this negative energy towards it, but it actually has nothing to do with the actual numbers we have in there.
And the affirmation you mentioned, there are so many affirmations about, like, I'm open to money. Money will come. So many affirmations about being welcome also to money to come to you, because also there are the limiting beliefs again, and especially in our profession. And I saw that because recently I said a very clever post in our group about, it was about a brand that they charge, do you remember that? A gold,
like 15,000 for gold plated, what's the word for it? That little office thing. Paper clip.
Yes, for a gold paper clip, that brand, a very well-known brand, sells it right now on their e-shop, 15K, is that correct?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, for a paper clip. And you realize the mindset behind of translators when everyone was starting mentioning in the comments, not everyone, but okay, some people, but they might also watching us right now, they're members of the group, Mentoring for Translators group, that we are already broadcasting there. Well, that's disgusting. People are hungry in Africa, and there are people who are spending so much money to that. And my main idea behind of posting that is actually that there are clients out there for every price. It's up to you to find those clients that they will accept your rates.
For sure.
And that for me was a motivation post to those that they are telling me, I cannot charge that high. People, they do not have money. That's mindset block, okay? That's a limiting belief and not the reality. And we need to distinguish the reality, okay, in comparison to our limiting beliefs. So yes, there are people who are hungry in Africa. Okay, and I don't think the reason was the post that I just said that, or the fact that some people can't. And definitely that was not my intention of sharing that post the other.
No, of course not.
But what I would like to mention right now, and I just mentioned that, was actually the fact that we feel that we do not deserve wealth, or that wealth is bad because there are people who are hungry out there, or because we are feeling bad when we make money because there are people that are hungry out there. All those limiting beliefs, they always have an impact on our income, okay, on our actions, and what at the end we earn. Rarely you will see someone to earn a lot of money. We can say they're feeling like people are hungry. There are people like without home. I'm not deserving that money. I shouldn't. I feel bad, and that also comes maybe from religion, maybe from when we were our childhood and our
parents conditioning.
Yeah, would you to tell us like, the wealthy people are bad people, or those people that they make money because they're bad people or with bad proposals. And that's, I think, the time that we should overcome that. And you shouldn't feel bad when you earn money. And definitely your purposes or business purpose shouldn't be bad. So actually, you could actually be able to help people who are starving or are hungry or who are having income issues actually by making this money. So definitely it's a mindset issue that we need to turn, here.
Yeah.
And something we need to take into consideration the next time we're going to charge for the next project, or we are about to charge what we think that we value. So thank you for mentioning that, Luna. I was really surprised because we never discuss what we're going to talk about exactly during the live. It's a great surprise that you just mentioned that. because I think we need to take that seriously. And the next time you're going to invest for your growth, to be open and to feel that this will come to you 10 times more rather than the actual amount that you spent. And
like loosening your grip, like on things around you as well. I think helps you be less stuck, helps you pivot if you need to pivot, helps you spend the money you need into your business. But also, I think it also works for unexpected expenses or things that you know, when you have like a hard blow or something like that, you know, when you have like a little bit of loosening your grip towards your money and be like, you know what, it's going to be okay. It's going to come back to me tenfold, or things like this that you need to tell yourself. It just makes the whole thing flow much better, and you don't resent it so much as well.
And especially about investment in programs or things that will help us grow. I've been telling everywhere, like online, I think also in my lives, that the moment that I invested in a 5-figure coaching program myself, I was actually able to see growth also in my income. So even though I've been spending, I've been earning even more. So this is like a chain. I think I've mentioned that before, and the topic was not relevant to what we're discussing about. So definitely it works. And it's not only the actual knowledge that we get from such programs that actually help us grow. Yes, there is a practical aspect behind of it, but actually is that feeling that we invest and that comes the flow that
it comes back. Yeah. It's like a cycle. It's a cycle thing. So
the next one you have mentioned here, unless, is there anything else you would like to add about abundance?
Just the fact that so mindset that you have attached to things is very important, and so is the power of intention. So it's like affirmations, we also have some examples of affirmations in the ebook if you want to take a look.
Would you like to share some of them? Would you like to share some of them?
Yeah, I have some, for example. So this is also something that you can write in your notebook when you wake up or whenever you go to bed. You have some things such as, my business is growing, expanding, and thriving, or I possess the qualities needed to be extremely successful, things like that. Or today I am brimming with energy and overflowing with joy, or things like that. So it's like little drops of, joy, because we deserve it, I think.
Yeah, and always affirmation are used also in meditation. So definitely be resourceful. Those are some suggestions. You need to find the information that works best for you and what you need also. Okay.
What you need to hear basically, like, what if like you were your own best friend and you were trying to give yourself the best advice, or like try to give you like words of encouragement, and what would they be? And if you need someone to tell you those things, then maybe you should start telling them to yourself too, because it works.
Yeah. And you mentioned the next one is actually something we have already covered, like be your own best friend, be kind to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, we already mentioned this, which is...
Yeah, I hadn't read the later, but I mentioned that with a positive talking, like talk to yourself like you're talking to a friend. Would you talk to them the same way? So be your own best friend, be kind to yourself, like be kind as you would be to your best friend.
Be kind, but I mean, don't be also fair. If you are maybe, spending 3 days... not really going forward with a project that you don't feel motivated about, well, your best friend would tell you, hey, you probably need to get going now. So, it's also be kind to yourself, but also be fair. Don't be over positive and don't be over negative. It's just, look out for yourself.
I really like the next sentence that you have had, like learn to let go of things that no longer work. It took me so long to do that.
Yeah.
Identify what lights you up.
Yeah,
more of that in your everyday life.
Yeah, I think this is like really, really hard. I think this is also like a learning process, a work in progress. Always, I think it takes a lot of humility to be able to realize that things that you invested time in maybe are not working, or maybe it's just not working, and it takes a lot of courage also to be like, okay, I'm dropping this because it obviously doesn't work, and I'm changing route, but it's so much worth it to change route now, today, and not, 2 years down the line when you will have invested another 2 years in something that doesn't work.
The problem is not to realize if it works or not. At least in my case, that was not the issue. I knew that it wasn't working. And I remember a specific period of my life. The difficult part is to let go. For several reasons. Might be the fact that you have invested time or money.
Exactly, yeah.
It's also the fact that you have been in a routine, like it's your everyday life for the last 5 years, for example. Or is the fact that you have feelings for specific people that you have been working with, for example, but this doesn't work and you don't let that go.
Yeah.
So this is really helpful that you have said that with us. And also, what activities did you do as a child? You have also included that. Is also connected with what actually lights you up. Is that
yes, for me, when you're like you were saying, like we sometimes realize that things are not working, but we don't really let them go. But if we try to reconnect to activities that that really light us up, we can implement more of that, and then it makes it easier to let go of things that are no longer working. I think, in my experience, anyway. And if you have trouble identifying things that light you up, or maybe if you're trying to pivot some things in your business, some things in your life that don't work. I usually try to remember what really was working for me as a kid. For example, I love to, for me, I wanted to be an archaeologist, so I love to investigate and maybe, do small work with my hands. And all of these things are tools of things that are probably good for you to do, or at least satisfying for you to do.
Thank you for sharing that. I think we have a bit of touched that in a previous mindset session as well about childhood, and also if we can go back and see what we really enjoyed to do when we were children. I used to teach to my, as a kid, to other kids, like pretending to be a teacher. And actually, my studies in translation, my whole career so far, had nothing to do with teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I had, for some reason, deleted that as a memory. And then it came back when I started actually teaching translators for trainings. I actually started teaching, or I started teaching at the university. My professor invited me. I created a coaching and mentoring program, and I felt satisfaction, fulfillment. I didn't know. And then I realized, as a kid, I used to play the teacher. So somehow, when we are kids, we are closer to our inner and genuine self.
For sure.
So going back to your childhood and taking out what you really enjoyed to do might also be the light to your future and give you some ideas of what is your passion, what you should get into. So thank you for sharing that. So next is actually surround yourself with people who inspire you. Ask them for help. There are so many sayings about that, also here in Greek. But definitely, I cannot recall them exactly correctly right now. But definitely, they say that you become the person who you surround yourself with.
Exactly.
Okay, so there are so many sayings like that. So definitely surround yourself with people who inspire you or actually motivate you, or you see they're successful in what you would like to be successful to. Is definitely also the reason behind of so many coaching right now masterminds. Because the main advantage of those are not the actual coach or what you learn, is the community and the people who are like-minded, are the same stage with you, or even higher than yours, and they can drag you up or they can motivate you to actually reach that point yourself. And that's something we do not know the value.
I think it's very important, because in a community like such as this, you basically are using other people to bounce off ideas from. And also, like, the fact of vocalizing or voicing out what you really want is going to make you realize whether you really like it, because the other person is going to be like, oh, okay, so you're trying to do this, like that. And then you're like, oh, no, actually, no. Or maybe it might be, oh, yes, actually, that's exactly what I want to do. And then you're going to put things into action. So surrounding yourself with people who are supportive, who inspire you, who have your back no matter what, is paramount, because we usually manifest a lot of opportunities also through our network. And I mean, for freelancers, or entrepreneurs, it's even more the case, because we have word of mouth, colleagues refer us. So it's very, very important to make sure your community is something you can really count on. And I think we should really never feel bad about asking for help and asking for advice from your community, because then you can barter, you can exchange services and all of that. And I think it just makes for a much more resilient relationship, community, and yourself too, I believe.
I recently read a quote, I've shared it on Instagram, about like, if you're hanging around with 2 millionaires, like the possibility you will become a millionaire, like, is more than even 70%. The same goes for if you start like hanging around with people who are taking drugs, or they have taken the wrong, let's say, path in their life, you most probably will end up like that. So also this is an example of how powerful is our network, the people that we interact with in everyday life, and of course the community at the end. Sometimes it happens naturally. Sometimes, yes, we attract those people that are similar to us. So we tend to go on vacation or to spend time to have friends with people that they actually have the same interests with us or the same views and vision for the future. But if we don't, if this doesn't happen naturally to us, it's definitely worth it to take a look around us and see what people do. We have people that they motivate us, they inspire us, or we have toxic people around us that they are taking our energy and they do not help us to grow. This is very good advice, and thank you for sharing that. So the next one is, if you're frustrated for a long period of time, take action and change something. Ask for help. The worst thing you can do is nothing. You can do is nothing at all. What I really like that is frustrated for a long time period. If you realize that you're in such situation, okay, the sooner you realize it, and the sooner you take action, the better for you.
For sure.
The main problem here in that sentence is a long period of time, not the fact the fact that we are frustrated. I think all of us at some point of our life, we have felt frustrated, okay? How fast you will overcome that, you will realize, okay? You will feel it, and you will ask for help so as to get over this. I think this is also part of success people's life. How fast we react, how fast we change.
Yeah. But I think we have in our mind, this idea that we have to be really, really resilient and patient. And we have, this idea of I think it's someone escaping prison, and they go, and then they basically turn back at some point before the exit because they realize that it was too long away, and they turn back and they go back. And we have this, this idea that we have to go all the way, and then maybe tomorrow we will be successful, maybe tomorrow everything will work out. And
you are not frustrated when you are at that stage, Luna. When you are not determined in your mind, that's not frustration.
No, of course, yeah. But I think this is why we have that idea.
Frustration for me, it comes when people, they come to me for advice. I see the frustration there. And I realize that the longer the frustration in their life, the bigger the problem to overcome it and actually work with those people. And there are people that I cannot work with, of course. I don't accept everyone. So when I see someone that frustration has become their everyday life, and they've been living in such a state of their mind for over 5 or 10 years, then it's pretty difficult. They need even more expert or a doctor's advice there, okay? Rather just a coach or an expert in one topic. So the sooner you realize you're in that, and it's pretty normal, okay, to feel frustrated as many times as you want in your life, the sooner you realize it and you take action to change, the better, okay, for the results and actually to see growth and progress in your life, business and personal. So this is for me the trick, and if we can say behind of this sentence, Luna, is there anything else you would like to add for that?
No, I think it's very healthy to realize when something isn't working, and then do not be scared of changing it as soon as you can, even if it means changing many things, even if it means that you say goodbye to maybe 3 years of your life or something. But I think that everything that you invest, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's training programs, whatever you're turning away from, it's never lost. The time you spent on yourself, on the time you spend on anything, I don't think it's ever lost. It served you to pivot at the right time. It's probably going to be useful for you in the next venture. So, it's never lost. It's never something that you should be really...
It might be a win, it might be a lesson. So it's never lost.
Exactly.
So I agree with you, Luna. But definitely taking action is the key behind that. Because I see, I'm in discussion with so many people, different countries. Today I had a discussion from a girl from India. Take some action and do not always depend on the free stuff that you read, and you keep extending the time that I will take that lesson. I will ask for help in 1 year, in 6 months, or whenever I have. The longer that you postpone this process, I've seen that, the more time you lose. I've seen that because people are coming back after 1 year, so they've lost 1 year. And rarely the lack of time and lack of money is the real reason behind that, okay? You've been on my email list, you've read that. Rarely the actual reason is actually the lack of time or lack of money. But we can have a whole session about that.
Sure.
Let's conclude. Don't be afraid to pivot completely if this is for something that brings you more happiness. So, Luna, that's you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I believe that basically from also the law of attraction, from building an abundance mindset, whatever happiness you bring to yourself, you will also bring to people around you. And the more you feed this, basically this little ball of happiness inside you, the more you will also, resonate all around you with that satisfaction, basically. And I think this is also what then makes you much more ready to pivot, more loosen your grip on limiting beliefs and things that are blocking you from achieving whatever you want to achieve. So I think the key really is to always listen to what lights you up, and I think through there you attract the right people. Everything just goes down from there. But it's hard for a lot of us to really listen to that inner voice. But I think this is very powerful, very valuable.
Can you give me an example of such a story? Doesn't have to be yours.
Yeah, for example, as we say, in your business, do what lights you up and outsource the rest. Things like that, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm recapping. We are on time. I'm so happy. So invite a welcome of gratitude to get unstuck with your business. And we today discussed with Luna how to focus on the positive, okay, and how this has the power to move us forward and get us unstuck in our life and business. Different journaling routines, and of course you will find the PDF, the free book in the comments, the link to download it. How to stop the negative self-talks. How to create an abundance mindset, the law of attraction, and specific affirmations you can use. So if you missed the actual live, go back to the recording and watch it to find out even more practical advice from Luna. And be your own best friend, how this really helps you practically to move on and get unstuck. How the fact that you surround yourself with people who inspire you and you can ask them for advice will help you to get unstuck and see the growth that you wish both in your life and in your business. And how the fact that you might have been frustrated for a long time and you don't ask for help can be the worst thing, okay, that really holds you back. And the last thing as an advice would be, don't be afraid to pivot completely if this is something that brings you more happiness. And not only happiness, it might, as also the example that you just said with us, Luna, might be a matter of productivity and actually being successful in your business specific tasks. So if you are struggling to implement something on time, better delegate, because then you're losing practical time and actually time that you could use efficiently to actually implement things that you really love doing. So that was it for today. Thank you for being live with us. Thank you for those that you use the comments to introduce yourself. And Luna, thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, that's it. I'm very satisfied. I think these sessions are also auto-motivating myself, so this is great.
Yeah, no, but I feel like I give a coaching session today, but I missed the question. You usually ask me something. Is there anything you would like to ask me about this topic? I would really love to answer it. Or I have answered it.
Well, me personally?
Yeah, you usually ask.
No. Well, actually, not this time.
I love them. I love to answer because they make me reflect also on myself and my progress and my way of approaching things. So thank you, Luna, for being here. Luna Jungblut, thank you for being here with us live today.
You're very welcome.
We have our next live to be announced next month, so stay tuned with us. I know it's August, I know it's summer, but definitely we will find 1 hour in the month, okay, to cover this topic. And I know that many of you want to be able to go on vacation because of COVID and the pandemic, so I wish that I would have some of you with us. And definitely, as last year, I've been always teaching programs in August. Last year I broadcasted live from 2 islands, Mykonos and Nios. I was on vacation, but that didn't keep me back for actually having a live with you guys. So I'm sharing my summer school, content marketing summer school, for free. I'm going to teach this August. So if you would love to spend this summer with me, I would love to have you on board. So click on the link and join us for free this summer. And of course, next month, we're going to have the next session with Luna to be announced on a different topic about mindset related, again, issues. And Of course, we're going to have other guests again to the Ask Your Mentor Anything Live. If you have more topics you would like us to cover, use the link in the description box, or you can contact Luna or myself directly. And of course, hope to see you next week. Luna, thank you so much. See you next month, and of course in our annual mastermind. And bye-bye for now.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.